Welcome to Junior Achievement. My name is Risa, and on behalf of JA, we'd like to welcome you as a volunteer and thank you for taking the time to go into the classroom to teach students about work readiness, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy. Today we are going to take a look at the JA Success Skills program. What you will notice is that in South Dakota, we have been working with some speech teachers with a great interest in this program to help it to align more readily to speech classes. So if you are teaching in a speech class, we would ask you to use the adapted outline that's provided by JA of South Dakota, whether it be on our website or emailed from the JA staff, instead of the volunteer guide handbook that's in the kit. If you're not teaching in a speech class, you can choose whether you like to follow this training with the adapted outline or if you would like to use the materials from Junior Achievement. For the sake of this training, we are going to be walking through the adapted outline instead of the volunteer guidebook that's included in your kit. We're going to be looking at the materials that we need, and one great thing about Junior Achievement programs is that you can find on the very bottom of the materials, or maybe on the back or on the side depending upon the piece, you can find a footer that talks about what the piece is entitled as well as what session it's used for. Now please note, when we're using the adapted outline, we have rearranged some of the activities orders, so it won't necessarily follow this adapted outline, but that is how you can know what the piece is entitled. For the very first session, what you're going to need are the student workbooks, the table tents, and your adapted outline. As you begin your first session, be sure to introduce yourself and to talk to the students about why you're volunteering. How did you get where you are today? Talk about your personal experiences and try to build that rapport with the students. What we have found is that the most beneficial aspect of JA Success Skills is when volunteers can make it real life and when they can share their experiences with the students and really make it come alive. What you want to do in the beginning is to provide each student with a table tent to write their name on so you can start learning their names, as well as to hand out the student workbooks. Have them put their names on the student workbooks as well. What works well is to have the students put their table tents in their workbook and hand them in at the end of the session so that their teacher can keep them in the back of the room. That way they won't get lost in lockers. For this first activity, you're going to be talking a lot about self-knowledge, and you're going to be talking about careers and values and interests and skills and how these skills are transferable. So what they're experiencing today, they can bridge into their future careers. And so this program centers on 16 success skills. And instead of teaching them all of them at one time, what we've done in the adapted outline is we have broken them down into all 7 sessions. So what you'll notice in your adapted guidebook on page 5 is that you will see an area in which we have the success skills for the day and then prompting discussion questions. In all of the sessions, what we would like you to do is to just build a discussion. Your class is going to be different depending upon the students you have in it, so you can use the discussion prompts as needed. Your class might be very great discussion starter people, and some of them might struggle with it more, so you might use more, but use what works for you. So spend a few minutes in the introduction talking a little bit about the skills. For this first activity, it's talking about the importance of planning, reflecting and evaluating, and taking responsibility for learning. Okay. After talking about some of these skills and really engaging the students in that discussion, what we're going to look at today is how these skills and knowledge can help the students market themselves in their future to a future employer. We really want to get them thinking about the connection of how the businesses market products and how we can kind of transfer those skills to ourselves and how we can market ourselves to our future employer. So what you want to do is just talk to the students a little bit about examples of real life advertising. Ask them to share applicable and appropriate commercials that they enjoy watching on TV. Challenge them to think about the Super Bowl and what some of the favorite commercials are from there as well. But think about how these aspects of marketing, what is it about these commercials that they like or that they don't like? And then what you're going to do after you talk a little bit about the actual media marketing, you're going to talk about how they market themselves. Have them share a little bit about how they think they market themselves every day. After they share a little bit about it, challenge them to think about their Facebook page or social media page. Make it relevant, because whether or not they realize it, they are marketing themselves through those social media aspects. For example, the things that they're liking, the pictures that their friends are posting, all of that is saying something about who they are, whether or not they are directly posting it. So just really challenge them to think about how some of those social media aspects really affect how they are marketed to other people. The activity today is for them to actually look at some commercials, and they're going to create some commercials working in small groups. So what you want to do is you want to break your class into 6 small groups, and each of the groups you are going to assign a different case study. Basically, you're going to have them bring their student workbooks, and they're going to turn to page 25. There are 3 different case studies that they are going to use, and so you as the volunteer can assign each of the groups one of these case studies. If you have 6 groups, 2 of the groups are going to have the same case study. Each case study has a tagline, and then it has some product opportunities, and what they are going to do is they are going to create a commercial for one of these products. So for example, the tagline is that 100% daily recommended amount of refreshment. So they can choose whether or not they want to do product 1, which is a cup of yogurt, product 2, which is a fish, or product 3, which is an orange. They're going to work in small groups to create a commercial that should be less than 30 seconds in length. We really want to encourage all the students to participate, and we really only have about 5 minutes to let them prepare their commercials. So basically what we want them to think about are those elements of effective marketing. Then what you're going to do is allow each of the groups to present on their topic, and whenever you do group presentations, it's always good to remind the students of how to be a respectful audience as well. There are some great follow-up questions found on page 8 that will help you walk through a discussion to help the students make the connection between the commercials and actually marketing themselves. If you have some additional time in your session, it's always a great thing to talk about resumes and how often resumes are kind of our first step in being able to market ourselves to a future employer. So you might consider bringing in an example of your resume or talking to the students a little bit about what they know about resumes and giving them some tips on effective resume writing. One thing that is part of all of the sessions is what's called a self-assessment. Touch base with your classroom teacher to see if this is something that you might do in your classroom. What we really find is it's a great idea to have the students take just a few minutes on self-reflection, to really think about what they had learned and how they want to apply it to their daily lives. What you can do is you can use the self-assessment found on page 30, and what we would encourage you to do on this one is to have them think about number 1 and number 3. They're a little bit more applicable than the second one in there. But this is a great way to get them thinking about things personally and how it relates to their individual lives. To wrap up your session, you want to make sure that you do a summary and review. And one thing that you want to do is just wrap up the big main ideas. Think about those takeaways that you really want the students to connect with. For example, we really want them to see that connection between the commercials and how they market themselves. We always want to encourage them to be honest and to focus on their strongest points as they're marketing themselves to others. Enjoy session 1.